everyone, it's Miss Giovanna again, and we are going to do lesson 6, which is called Teen Pregnancy, Choices and Responsibilities. So as usual, we are going to be starting with the video. Oops. Hopefully it cooperates. There we go. All right.
Yo, man, what's up?
Hey, bro. You would not believe who I hooked up with last night.
Whoa, slow down, man. How long have you been seeing this girl?
Met her last night.
All right, cool. See you later, man. Hey, still seeing that girl you told me about the other day?
What? Her? No, man. I'm seeing this other girl now. We spent all last weekend together while her parents were out of town.
Oh, really? You using a condom, man? You better be safe, dude. You never know these days.
Nah, she hasn't been with anyone else. I don't need to worry about that.
What's up, Mike? You're not looking too good.
Remember that girl I told you about, man? She called me last night. She's pregnant.
Okay, so to briefly summarize some of the facts of the story. So we have the two characters, right? One of them is a little bit more out there in terms of dating and, hooking up with people, versus his friend who's a little more cautious, kind of, advising him to make sure that they're using protection, and checking in to see if he's okay, right? So at the end of this first half, we see that the friend with the orange hair finds out that the person he had been hooking up with ended up pregnant, okay? So the idea is with this lesson, kind of using this first half of the video, we are going to talk about the, well, let's actually move into what we're going to talk about. So today's learning objectives. We're going to talk about and identify the components of prenatal care and responsible parenting. Identify the components of your state's safe surrender or safe haven law. If you don't know what that is, we will go into what safe surrender law is. Describe the key components of adoption and abortion, and then demonstrate how to make an important decision. So the idea here is that if somebody is ever in a situation where there's an unplanned pregnancy, that they know resources, right? What their options are, what resources they have access to, and just some steps to kind of walk them through so that they can make the best decision for themselves, all right? So today's evidence of achievement is you participated in the lesson activities, you completed lesson worksheets, you are committed to making healthy decisions in your life. So again, all the worksheets and activities will be on your Google Classrooms under lesson 6. And I believe for today we have 4 worksheets or activities. So let's kind of backtrack a little. If you all remember from the getting started lesson, how many teen births occur in the US each year? Kind of let you think about that for a few seconds. The correct answer is 230,000 teen births occur in the US each year. And why do you all think that is, that so many teens are experiencing unplanned pregnancies? Well, the truth is that there can be a bunch of different reasons, right? So it can be maybe they're not abstaining from sexual intercourse, right? Abstinence, which basically means not having any type of sexual intercourse, is the only 100% way to prevent pregnancy. So if people are not practicing abstinence, then that's also how an unplanned pregnancy can happen. Not communicating or discussing sex with their partner. No access to or cannot afford birth control. Not using birth control even if they have it. Not using birth control consistently and correctly. And sexual assault or date rape. So again, keeping in mind that teens are not, well, in this case, since we're talking about unplanned pregnancies among teens are not always sexually active by choice, right? Unfortunately, in some situations, some teens are forced into it, and that's how unplanned pregnancies can come about as well. So what are the options? So let's talk about prenatal care and parenting. Okay, so one of the options, giving birth and raising the child, giving birth and letting parents or relatives raise the child, surrendering the child to designated authorities, placing the child up for adoption, and then getting an abortion or terminating the pregnancy. Again, with these, the idea is that we're just giving you the different options that people have. We're not forcing any specific one. It's just so that you all are educated on the different options that people have available to them. So let's go into prenatal care first. So what is prenatal care? It is healthy diet and exercise, no alcohol, tobacco, or other drugs, regular checkups, counseling, and immunization. In some cases, childbirth classes. So prenatal care is basically while the person is pregnant, the care that they need to be taking upon themselves, and then care that the medical professionals can give them. So that's the list that we have here. Prenatal care is caring for the mother and the baby before the baby is born. So what is responsible parenting? Enrolling in parenting classes, understand child development, know how to discipline your child properly, control your emotions and or violent tendencies, find good childcare, provide a safe and loving home, provide regular health care, provide nutritious food, clothing, and a safe environment, and adjust your schedule to meet the needs of your child. So when we talk about responsible parenting, we're talking about the people who are going to be raising the child fully understanding the responsibilities that come with raising a child, not only financially, emotionally, and mentally as well. We want to make sure that we're in the best headspace to be able to raise a healthy child. And for ourselves, right? We also want to make sure that we're in a correct headspace to raise a healthy child, but we also want to make sure that we're in a correct headspace so that we're healthy ourselves. So what are the other options? So the other options are safe surrender, adoption, abortion of the fetus, and those are three options that we have aside from the ones I just mentioned. So safe surrender is basically where the mother, the mother or father can surrender the infant within 72 hours of its birth. Hospitals and fire departments are safe surrender sites in some counties, so are police stations. The parent does not give out personal information. If the surrendering parent chooses to give his or her name, it will be confidential and kept in private. And the infant is given food and medical care. So with this, the idea is that if a person has their child and they decide, you know what, I can't raise this child. I'm not in that place to be able to raise that child. The idea is that this law is in place so that the babies can be surrendered to a safe location where they will be taken care of, and that way babies are not abandoned alone somewhere unsafe. That is why this law was created. And just to show you all real quick, I'm going to pop up on the screen so if you can see that. This image right here is what you will usually find if a location like a fire department, a police station, or a hospital, if they are participating or are part of a law under this law that where you can drop off the baby, that is what it will look like. So it's a little hand cradling a baby, and if you see that image, then you know that is a safe place to drop off the baby because they will care for the baby properly. Oops. There we go. So continuing on with this, both parent and the infant are given an ID bracelet. So let me backtrack a little bit. So in the previous slide, we talked about how you have up to 3 days from when the baby is born, right? So you have up to 3 days from when the baby is born. The parent will not be in trouble for dropping off the child. And what they will ask sometimes, if the parent is willing to do, is just fill out like a survey to find out any potential health issues that the baby may have, just so that they can care properly for the baby. So you have up to 72 hours or 3 days to drop off the baby. And once that happens, if you have a survey, and then what they do is they give you a bracelet and the baby a matching bracelet. And that basically is there so that if the parent decides that they would like to get their baby back, they have that matching bracelet to connect it with the baby. But the parent does have 14 days to reclaim their child. So you have, from when they're born, you have 3 days. You drop it off, and then you have 14 days from then to change your mind. So if the biological father decides to claim the infant, he would need to have received bracelet from the hospital. Otherwise, a paternity test will need to be established. And if the infant is not reclaimed by its biological birth parent, it is placed for adoption. Okay, so that's the safe surrender baby law. And I know that's a lot of information, so if you have questions, please ask us as well. So adoption. Adoption is another option that people have. And it's a decision to place an infant for adoption. Obviously, it's not easy. And for a lot of parents, that might seem like the best possible option for them. So all prospective adoptive parents must go through intensive background checks. A young mother may be able to move forward with adoption without the birth father's consent. The adoptive family may provide that portion of the medical expenses not covered by private insurance or state funds. The mother may be able to know about the infant's health and well-being after the adoption. So with this, it's definitely, like it says here, it's not an easy decision for people to make, but there's a couple different ways to go about it. So there is a lot of communication with the adoptive parents, and the biological mother, a lot of the times has a little bit more of a say in terms of wanting to know the infant's health and well-being after their baby has been adopted. So again, this is just out there so that you all know your different options. So we've gone over raising the child, right? That's the first one. And what that includes is prenatal care. And then we've gone over what safe surrender means. And that is, again, if you don't know, if you've had your child and maybe the person doesn't know how to raise their child and changes their mind, they know a safe place to be able to drop off their baby, well, they will be taken care of. And you have adoption, right? So adoption, it can either be that the baby is adopted or put into adoption before the mother is pregnant, or after the mother is pregnant, they can go into the adoption. So those are 3 options that we've talked about. So the next one is we're going to talk about abortion. So just 3 things to know before making a decision to terminate pregnancy. 1, obviously we need to know if the woman is really pregnant, how far along she is, and if she has any STIs. And in terms of knowing how far along she is, it's just because of the cost and the type of abortion procedure that can vary. And then for STIs, it could be, if the person has an STI, it could be a greater risk for their reproductive health in the future. So when we're talking about terminating a pregnancy, a pregnant person, including minors, can access abortion legally for any reason until 24 weeks after her last menstrual period. A pregnancy can be terminated through medication or procedure to empty the uterus early in pregnancy. Abortion is a very safe procedure when done under medical supervision. In California, minors of any age can access abortion without parental notification or consent. It is a patient right to receive accurate information so that they can provide informed consent. So I know talking about abortion can get a little sticky because we all have, you know, our opinions and our thoughts, which we are all entitled to. But again, we're not trying to persuade you one way or the other. We're just simply informing you all so that you have the proper knowledge at what all the potential options are for pregnancy. Okay. So we are going to go over the worksheet. How do you make the choice, right? It's always sounds easier to give you all these options and, you know, say, okay, you can pick one. But making that choice maybe isn't always the easiest, right? So what you are going to do is, because this is one of your worksheets on your Google Classrooms, is you are going to answer these questions on your worksheet. Okay. So for step 6, that one is not on there. So you will do steps 1 through 5 and just answer it as best you can based off of what we've discussed with the different options that you have. So you have raising the child with prenatal care, you have safe surrender, you have adoption, and you have abortion, okay? So again, just go in there and fill that out as best you can. So let's go and see what happens in the second half of the video. Oops. Okay.
What are you going to do, man?
I really don't know.
Look, you gotta talk to her. You gotta decide together what you're going to do.
I know. I'm just scared. I thought we were careful. It happened so fast.
I get it, man. This actually happened to my older brother. He and his girlfriend went to a community clinic to talk with a doctor about their options.
What, really? You never told me that.
Well, come on, man. You can see how private this is and how serious. Plus, people talk. If this got out, it can ruin people. Be careful who you talk to, okay?
I know. Thanks for your support, man. I'll talk with her. We'll figure this out.
Okay, so you do have a worksheet on your Google Classrooms, just kind of discussing a little bit what happened in the second half of the video, but we can go over it together right now as well. So clearly from what we learned in the first part is that one of the guys, him and his partner they have an unplanned pregnancy, right? So his friend was kind enough to kind of guide him a little and let him know about, you know, working together, having that communication as partners to both decide what is best for them and for the baby as well, right? And also offering him a clinic, right? Any clinic can offer you those resources, especially in the state of California. Teens ages 12 to 19 can have access to reproductive health. So in this case, an unplanned pregnancy has to do with reproduction and the reproductive health system. So they were to walk into a clinic, they could get a lot of guidance from the professionals in the clinics. So that's a little bit of what happened here. Again, you can fill out your worksheet on the Google Classrooms. So went over this. So time for a quiz. And yes, you do have a quiz on your Google Classroom. So per usual, you can either write down the answers right now as we're going along together, or you can, you know, come back later and do it on your own time. So 3 alternatives to raising an infant include safe surrender, adoption, and abortion. And this one is true, right? Those are 3 of the ones we talked about. When making an important decision, it is critical to explore your options and consider the pros and cons of each option. True, you want to make sure that you are making the best decision for yourself, right? So making sure you are taking time to think clearly about all the options that you have. When making an important decision, it is not important to seek advice from a trusted adult. This is false. So as we talked about in previous lessons, it's always good to have those conversations with a trusted adult if you have a trusted adult in your life that you can talk to, because you know they've lived a longer life, they've had more lived experience, if you will. So having those conversations, they can potentially guide you to the resources that you might need. And the last one is the safe surrender law allows a parent to safely give her or his newborn to a hospital or fire department, no questions asked. And again, this is true, right? The objective of this law was to have safe places where babies could be surrendered and properly taken care of. Okay, so this is part of your reflection worksheet. And then again, let's start this conversation with a trusted adult in your life. You can ask what were some important decisions they needed to make in their lives and how did they go about making those decisions, right? Again, getting the ball rolling and, digging their brain a little bit and how they went about making those tough choices, or when they were in those tough situations, how they went about making those decisions. So this is the end of lesson 6. And if you have any questions in the reflections, we do have a section where you can ask more than one question, and we'll be happy to respond to those. So thank you, everybody. We'll talk to you next time.